Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. In this update, we've got rapid changes on the way with a big cool down and several hurricanes, plus a developing low pressure in the Gulf of Mexico is going to be wreaking havoc in portions of the southeast. Then we have the ridge starting to break down out west and propagating east as we head into next week. Welcome back, everyone. How's it going? This is your morning update. I appreciate all my followers out there and the new followers. So if you do like detailed weather breakdowns on North America and the tropics, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's take a look at the satellite picture this morning. And man, we have a lot happening out there. First of all, we've got sheared off Danielle. That was a hurricane that's safely moving out in the open waters. But man, look at this, guys. We have a massive Hurricane Earl out here, and this is expected to be a major hurricane, if not topping out to possibly a Category 4 hurricane. Luckily, that is actually moving out into the open waters. But closer to home, we've got a developing low pressure center out here in the Gulf of Mexico that's sending pulses of energy into Florida this morning. In fact, they had a tornado warning down there, and that's going to be sending heavier rain amounts along into Florida and portions of the southeast, while yet we have Hurricane K coming up the Baja, California, wreaking havoc in portions of Southern California, where they're expected some flooding rains, as well as we have a cool down coming from the north that's going to be sending some rapid changes in the coming days. So yeah, there is definitely a lot happening. So let's take a look at the overall 500 millibar setup, and you can definitely see there is Hurricane K off the coast of the Baja, California. There's the ridge of high pressure. Numerous record temperatures been unfolding the past week that will continue for about another 2 days, but I do see signs of relief on the way. So definitely hold on tight. But we got a pretty good cool down coming in from Canada, and that's going to be sending plunging temperatures, at least briefly, into the midsection of the country, while the low pressure center off the Gulf of Mexico is going to be sending pulses of energy into portions of the southeast. And there's Earl out here in the open waters of the Atlantic. But let's take a look at some of the temperatures on the North American view. And these are high temperatures, folks. So yeah, checking in about 47 into the 50s in much of Alaska today. Up north, further into Canada, widespread 40s and 50s. So this is the beginning shot of some cooler air funneling down. But further in the midsection of the country, that's 104 degrees, guys, in North Platte, Nebraska today, and expected to top out about 105. So plenty of heat. Denver's like 98, widespread record 100-degree temperatures in much of California. But hey, we got relief on the way. So these are high temperatures on Thursday. Just 2 days later on Saturday, look at that, guy, 58 for North Platte. That's a 50-degree drop. I mean, Denver goes from basically about 98 today to like 57, the high temperature on Saturday. So hey, it's a quick shot of colder air. In fact, we'll be looking at some snow breaking out in the higher elevations on the backside and portions of Montana back into Wyoming. So of course, this will modify the further south it goes. But yeah, definitely a good shot, a quick, taste of fall on the way for sure. And let's look at some of those temperatures as we head into Sunday morning. And man, widespread 40s and 30s up north in Canada here. Widespread 30s in Montana. Even into Wyoming. If you get all the way down to the Rockies, that's 28 degrees. That's a cold morning. That's definitely a taste of fall for sure, and if not a taste of winter. But yeah, these will definitely modify as it gets further south. We still got 2 more weeks of official summer in the books to record, so but at least this is the first indication of the seasons are at least changing, right? So let's take a look at Earl, because man, this thing's impressive. Luckily, this is just out in the open waters of the Atlantic, but whoo, this is a pretty intense storm rapidly. In fact, the hurricane hunters were out there flying it in this morning. It's already picking up 965 millibar low pressure, and that's continuing to rapidly intensify. In fact, they just upgraded this to a Category 4. Heading into Sunday, potentially, as this is expected from the National Hurricane Center. Again, this is safely moving out in the open waters, but this should be our first major hurricane of the Atlantic season. In fact, a category 4 hurricane. So, and there's something coming waiting in the wings of Earl, which will be Fiona here shortly as well. So, but zooming in closer to home, it's all about Hurricane K and its impacts closest into California. And this is some serious stuff that these places just don't see. I mean, it's, yeah, pretty incredible. You're talking a moderate risk for excessive flash flooding into places like a Yuma and San Diego heading into Palm Springs, guys. Yuma averages 3 inches of rainfall a year. Palm Springs averages 5 inches of rainfall a year. You know what happened. You saw what happened in Death Valley after they got 1.5 inches of rain in a short amount of time. This is the concern in these areas with even just 1 inch or 2 of rain in areas that just don't get that much would cause serious problems with flash flooding in this area. So yes, they need the rain, but it's going to come too fast, too furious, and that's why they do have these moderate risks in place. In fact, the slight risks extend anywhere from all the way to Las Vegas, right? Los Angeles picking up several inches of rain. Yeah, definitely some healthy rains on the way, and it doesn't happen Friday morning. It really takes a hold by the time we get into Saturday morning, heading into Sunday morning. So it's a 2-day event. It's a compounding event. The heaviest stuff will come in on Saturday morning and then finally slow down as we head into Sunday morning. But yes, definitely out here in this country, this part of the country, definitely man high alert for flash flooding with these rain amounts upwards to several inches of rain is definitely on the table. So how often did you see this on the hazard index? Well, right now they're dealing with that high pressure with excessive heat warnings, and then you have a flood watch right basically on top of it. You basically hardly get those overlapping at the same time. But that's with complements of Hurricane K and the ridge of high pressure still locked over that region. The only reason why you're going to cool off in San Diego is because of Hurricane K. Luckily for that, this will start to eat away at the ridge of high pressure, and slowly, I got good news for you guys in California. By next week, we're talking below normal temperatures. So that's, wait, it's coming, guys. Hold on tight, it's coming. But we've got flash flood watches up here in the southeast. That's part of that low pressure center that's developing off the coast of Louisiana, sending heavier rain amounts. In fact, let's take a look at the overall rain amounts just for the next 2 days, right? So this picks up the precipitation over the next 2 days with that main impact heading into Southern California with multiple inches of rain spreading into Southern California, trying to creep into portions of Central California. But again, they'll be running into that ridge of high pressure, right? But down here further to the south in the Gulf of Mexico, they got the developing low pressure center off the coast of New Orleans there, with it sheared across, more elongated. A weaker storm sends the heavier rains on the east side, dirty side, and then that will send its copious rain amounts into portions of central Florida, into northern portions of the panhandle of Florida, and then sending all the heavier rains up the coast there into portions of Alabama, getting into Mississippi, Alabama, back into Georgia, up the Carolina coast, and eventually start to wane as they get towards North Carolina. But there's the cold front heading south. It's got some moisture in the northern regions to deal with, but further south, it's going to run into, there's not much moisture left the further south it goes. And then we still have some instability in portions of Texas over there for the next couple of days. But overall, for the most part, Texas is definitely going to be starting to dry out in a big way. So here's the overall setup for Saturday, right? So we got the low pressure center off the coast of California, wrecking all the heavier rains. You see the ridge, right? It's starting to break down already heading into the weekend. There's the cold front from the north pushing further south, modifying as it goes. There's the low pressure center over Louisiana, but it follows the warm waters, right? So you got the little bit of higher temperatures and then higher dew points heading into Florida. And then that's where they're going to pick up the main axis of the heavier rain amounts. So as we transition into Monday, there's the cold front dropping southward. There's the ridge slowly dying down, right? So we slowly eat away those record high temperatures. There won't be any record high temperatures anymore for California by the time we get into Monday, right? As the ridge or high pressure will slowly start to shift, right? Then we have that cold front dropping south. That will basically kind of fade away. But then back behind it, we've got a pretty strong low pressure center going to be developing on the backside into portions of Iowa, Wisconsin, headed into Michigan with some heavier rains with this developing low pressure center, and that will slowly shift off to the east. So underneath it, we've got those cooler anomalies, right? So where the trough is, we'll have the cooler anomalies underneath. There's the colder air filtering in, complements of K and complements of that ridge just slowly starting to break down as we get into Monday afternoon. As it does, it will slowly shift further into the central US. While here, we've got the low pressure on top of the trough. That brings the overall below average temperature anomalies for this region. And then underneath it, there's that trough of low pressure with a pretty good vorticity setting up over portions of Monday. There's what's left of K now trying to move out into the open waters of the Pacific, and it'll eventually die out. But we're going to be dealing with this trough up north here where we're going to have all that instability further into the Ohio Valley. So underneath it, at the surface, you can definitely see where that low pressure is, right? Where that little swirl is happening. Again, the right side along the East Coast will set up heavier rains into portions of Jersey, back into Pennsylvania, back into New York, upstate New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. Those areas should get hit with kind of moderate to heavier rains at times, with that low pressure center continuing to shift further off into the east. So by the time we get into Tuesday, there's the setup along the East Coast with the heavier rain amounts, with that low pressure center centered up over portions of Michigan now, heading up to the Ohio Valley, and that will continue across portions of southern Canada, and then we'll be shifting further into Maine as we go into Wednesday. But out here to the southwest, look at that. We've got the monsoon flow starting to come back. Why is that? Well, we have the ridge of high pressure going to be slowly shifting further up into the midsection of the country. And as it does, we'll have more of a zonal flow up to the north. And then, yeah, guys, I'm sorry to say, we got the ridge going to be coming back for the southern portions. And you've seen this much of summer. Unfortunately, that type of setup is coming back for the last official week of summer and heading into the middle of the month, where we have that ridge going to be coming back for a good chunk of the south. A lot of sinking air back to the 90s, if not almost maybe 100 degrees portions of Dallas Fort Worth. Here's the setup by Friday, by the middle of the month. There's the trough of pressure coming back for the middle of the month. If you followed me on my fall outlook that I put out on September 1, we talked about the change happening by the middle of the month, where the ridge will break down and have the colder temperatures going to be shifting back into the west, while we have the ridge coming back in the midsection of the country. And that's exactly what's happening with the new updated from the Climate Prediction Center. There it is, guys. Below average temperatures starting the last official week of summer, starting from the 15th to the 21st. We have the below average temperatures coming back. You can say goodbye to the record heat, goodbye to the warmer anomalies, and say hello to the below average temperatures. So it's going to be a welcome sight coming back. But unfortunately, if you live in the midsection of the country where that ridge of high pressure was locked over Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, that ridge is coming back. Fortunately, the overall averages do start to come down in September, but you're going to have plenty of heat on the way as that ridge of high pressure will slowly shift from the midsection of the country and eventually shift off at portions of the east. So if we head out to the tropics, so here's the overall setup for the next 10 days as far as the precipitation anomalies. There's Earl, right? Earl goes well out to sea. There's the sheared off system of Danielle. There will maybe become Fiona out into the open waters of the Atlantic. But again, most guidance actually has this again. curving out to sea, where you have the main developing region really quiet, because we still have a lot of dry air funneled in this region, and that impacts portions of Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, all dry air for them. Further to the south, you do have a little bit more instability in portions of southern the Caribbean, while the main access will be in the Gulf of Mexico, with the stream of low pressure center right off the coast, bringing some heavier rains for them for the southeast. If we zoom in closer to home on the North American view, there's the heavier rains for portions of Southern California and Central California. Parts of the monsoon does come back with the above average precipitation anomalies. We've got drying out in the midsection of the country, and where the low pressure center is, we have the higher precipitation anomalies. And then that low pressure center down in the southeast, we got the heavier rain amounts funneling for them, while we have heavier rains in the portions of Alaska, and then portions further off to the north, and then of course drying out in the northern branch of Canada. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.